Hello, New Wave of British Heavy Metal.com here. Today it's the 18th of August 2023. Quick favour please, if I could ask, and that's if you would please subscribe to the channel. That'd be marvellous, big help, appreciated, so please hit that button if you would. Today, Hellanbach. Now, who remembers them from the good old New Wave of British Heavy Metal days in the early 1980s? Do you? They were based up in the northeast, which was quite a hotbed of activity for Nawabban bands, wasn't it? You had, well, you could stand here for 5 or 10 minutes and reel them all off. Raven, White Spirit, etc., etc., etc. And Hellanbach would say we're one of them, and we're one of a few back then that were touted as the next big thing without that actually becoming reality. Now, I'd admit I'd forgotten about all about Hellanbach. Until recently, having a conversation with a friend who was, we had similar taste back then musically, and still do. We got onto Hellanbach, and that reminded me that maybe I ought to go and check them out again. So I went off to see what I could find of their stuff, and it wasn't easy, but I did manage to find this Anthology, the Big H, which is a double CD of various album tracks of theirs from back then, years ago. The Hellanbach they were known unfavourably as Hellanbach because the guitarist, Dave Patton, marvellous guitarist, what his style was not dissimilar to Eddie Van Halen, and the band did get weighed down a little bit with that, and just they were considered unfairly, in my opinion, just the UK version of Van Halen without coming up to par. But that's another story, isn't it? Let's judge them on the music. They started off with a self-financed 4-track EP. I think that was 1979 or 1980 or something like that. And that was a bit rough around the edges, as you'd expect, but very promising. That attracted the attention of Neat Records, who of course back then had many Nawabban bands signed to them, and Hellanbach became one of them. I suppose it was always a given that they would end up on Neat, given that they were from up the northeast there. But anyway, a debut album came out in, I think it was 1983. Now Hear This. Went down well, but perhaps again depends on your point of view. Those Van Halen similarities are probably a little bit more than obvious. But that said, that debut album's a really fun, powerful listen. Muscular, fast-paced rockers, huge big riffs, monster chords, scorching solos, lots of whammy bar, big sound in general, very enjoyable stuff, I think. The follow-up album, The Big H, came out around about a year later, which was similar in style, though didn't make much of a mark, unfortunately, but it wasn't for the lack of musical ability on show on it. Now, arguably, again, depends on your point of view, I guess, a bigger label than Neat might have had the muscle and ambition and budget to promote the band wider, but that's all ancient history now. And after that second album, The Big H, that was pretty much it for Hellanbach. But there's much more to them than the emphasis that was put on the guitar work. Yeah, sure, that was the main selling point. But build in generally powerful vocals, some nice melody that goes on in there as well, and a thumping rhythm section in addition to that quite phenomenal guitar work. They were quite a band, and they certainly had the chops to go places and go further than they did, I think, anyway. And so they plenty more to Hellanbach than a big guitar. This anthology spans 2 CDs and 27 tracks, thumping listen of what the band had to offer. And again, it's much more than that swaggering, flashy guitar and a daft name with an obvious play on words. The 4 tracks of that debut EP are on this anthology, and that shows what a raw talent they had before the albums came along. And there's plenty of other selections from those albums that show just how good they were. Worthy of checking out, much more than a Nawabban curiosity. I'll put a link to this anthology on Amazon in the description below, but there weren't too many left when I was there, so if they might have had some more since, but I'll have a look anyway, because there's much more to Hellanbach than being an Wobham curiosity with a Van Halen style guitar work. So that's Hellanbach. Please subscribe to the channel before you go, that'd be great. And as always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and take care.